Hi, Michael.
Hi, good to meet you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I am so excited to meet such an innovative entrepreneur. I mean, this sounds like a crazy idea. I mean, create a new electric helicopter, which is Volocopter. Some people in the industry knows a little bit, but maybe for most of the normal citizens, it's unknown brand, unknown product. But first, maybe you can let us know how all started. How is that do you enter into this crazy idea and dedicated years and years of R&D before going to the market?
Yes, so the company Volocopter was founded in 2011 with our founder's idea to bring drone technology, so distributed electric propulsion, into aviation to carry or lift up one person back then. We call it the yoga ball flight, which was in 2011. And over the time, of course, we developed out of this first idea, a first vision, and then now we are on the edge to create the reality, which we called urban air mobility. So we are bringing sustainable urban air mobility to life. That means we want to provide aircrafts, technology, fully electric into cities worldwide to transport then reality this year.
You told me before that you took 7 years to develop the whole business idea, and now we are ready or close to launch this year. Yeah, that might be confirmed, right? Yeah.
Yes, so I joined 7 years ago. So with a, let's say, very small company, the technology was, first idea was proven and the first investors were there. But of course, we came from now roughly 20 people to about 600 plus people with 68 different nations. So we're very proud of our diversity. And you need different cultures, backgrounds to create a new industry as we do.
7 years ago, we had already Teslas, we had already other EV brands. So that means electric transport was already possible back by then. Why did you took so long? It was only because of regulatory challenges, or it was something else on the background that was slowing the process of launching a new product?
So I think it was existing on the ground. To bring it in the air is another challenge, of course, also from a regulatory aspect. So when we started, for example, it was not clear how to certify such a product because it's not a traditional helicopter, it's not a sailplane, or it's not an Airbus A320. So how do you certify it? How do you bring that then to the market? So that was, of course, one of the challenges. The second challenge is, of course, that the technology was even in automotive not that established. So also we talked about range anxiety earlier today here at the NEOM Drive Summit. And all of those hurdles were still existing for the automotive industry. So of course, we haven't talked about batteries in aviation, electric propulsion system in aviation, which is another story, of course, in terms of energy density, kilowatt and kilowatt hours per kilogram. So that's very important for us, right? How heavy and how lightweighted we can build things. So you cannot really 100% compare automotive to aviation. But yes, we looked at Tesla, we looked at early electric mobility companies to be inspired, to be bold, to take risks, and also learn from them.
Okay, and when talk about infrastructure, charging infrastructure, let's put the context. Yeah, so you are here today in an energy company event, which is for all the stakeholders, an ecosystem, charging manufacturers, auto manufacturers. What you are doing here? Why do you need this ecosystem?
So I think we can learn from each other. It's a partnership-oriented approach. So I think no one alone will establish such a new industry, be it automotive, be it aviation. And of course, we need also charging, right? So we talk about the same roughly kilowatt hours per battery that we see in automotive. Of course, our batteries are aviation grade and some more specifics to that. But in the end, we will have a charging plug
in, right.
And we will have certain charging needs at certain destinations in a network in cities. So there are a lot of similarities, also in terms of regulation, legal aspects, insurance, and so on. So I think we are invited to inspire, but also to give our learnings, but also learn from the others. So I think it's a win-win for both sides, and I'm very happy to be here.
We will see a Volocopter going down to a EV charging station, or or it will be a different charging experience?
So we looked at charging as a total, and of course we will start in the beginning with a swapping concept to be as fast in the air as possible again. So we will have a Formula One box stop, so we'll come, change the batteries and go off again. And then, of course, midterm, we are exploring the technology development, and we go, of course, into a discussion around charging, fast charging. And of course, in the end, I don't promise now that it will be a same car standard charging, because there are some regulatory aspects to that. But of course, we are similar. We have similar needs in terms of fast charging. And I would say, to give you some perspective, it's probably between a car and a truck, somewhere in between.
Olympic Games, right? Is that the chosen time to launch? Is that right?
So we are working towards bringing our aircraft now to type certification. That means that we certify commercially the first ever eVTOL here in Europe. That means we are certifying to the highest safety standards. And then, of course, we are working with our partners. We work with our partners to bring urban air mobility to life. And yes, Paris with the Olympic Games have been an early adapter to the idea of bringing air taxis to life. We will work with them, and we are working with them, with our partners, ADP, for example, very closely to bring that technology into cities like Paris. And we made tremendous progress over the last months and years to enable such flights as early as possible. And that's also what we're working towards in 2024.
Can we have some figures or technical features of the first Volocopter models? Battery range, autonomy, similar questions to any other EV, but also more specifics like estimated range price of the vehicle. What are those numbers?
Yes. So of course we are working here as a first iteration. So you can imagine, I always make the comparison also to the Tesla Roadster, right? So because in the end of first iteration, that means we are rather compared with a Tesla Roadster in the beginning. But yes, we will work in an initial phase, of course, with a certain price point that is attractive to enough customers to start the operations. And of course, in the end, the customers will say where the value proposition is and how this develop. Our long-term goal, and I think that there everyone talks in the industry the same voice, is it has to be attractive for the broader base. So in the beginning, we will set up, of course, only a small percentage of us will fly in the beginning because of availability of aircraft, right? But once we scale, we see, of course, the need to also scale down the prices. So over time, we expect that everyone who is driving certain taxis today will afford in the future also electric flying as a on-demand service then. Be it Volocopter, be it somewhere else, but I think in the end it's about focusing on the customer, on the value proposition. And
are you looking to autonomous flying?
Yes. I think the industry is still in the early, let's say, grounds of developing the aircraft itself. But yes, we talk about autopilots today in commercial aviation already. So I think a commercial pilot doesn't fly during a long-hour trip, not too much, right? The autopilot takes over. So I see that autonomous in the future will be probably even earlier adopted in aviation than in some other industries. At the same time, as I said, we are focusing on a full piloted mission in the beginning, also based on the regulatory and cultural aspect. But yes, over time, there are companies even working only on autonomous in flying and aviation. It's a regulatory aspect. So today there is no real baseline to how to certify that. So yes, we are following that closely. But of course, we have to take the first step. The first step is bringing a piloted product into the market, operated under the normal flying rules, right? So visual flying rules, VFR. And then over time to expand that and support the pilot in its operation. So you can imagine the first step, it's not a change from 0 to 1 to autonomous. Over time, it will take certain functions from the pilot away and be it kind of a co-pilot. And that's how we enable this. And this technology is what we are testing with partners, but also developing over time.
Early adopters of a new technology, they always pay that premium. That's a rule in business that we all know. Then, depending on the business case, you offer some values. So to let them, those early adopters, to commit or participate into the innovation. Will be the carbon emissions the main value for those early adopters of Volocopter?
So I think for us,
I mean,
three.
I mean for big, large companies needing to move a lot of people back and forward and then reduce their carbon emissions. Will be that the business strategy at the beginning?
No, I think over time, of course, sustainability is core to our heart because we always said fully electric. At the same time, we all know that there has to be a business behind it also to enable such a business from the beginning. So what we see is, of course, we have four major benefits. The first one is we are completely a different safety category, so we are way safer than a traditional helicopter. Second point, what we learned very early, for example, 2018 in New York already, where we talked with the existing operators in aviation, they said noise is super critical for cities. So we are here looking at the sky, and of course, everyone will complain about noise if it's not adaptable to certain circumstances. So we have very early worked on this complexity to reduce the noise of our aircraft, and we are a clear benchmark in terms of noise. That's the second aspect next to safety is noise. The third aspect is, of course, that we have no emissions, so that we have no combustion engine, and that, of course, leads to certain benefits. And the fourth aspect, and I think that's what is currently also developing then over time, is the price point, the operational simplicity, and that you have a business case for the full industry.
Wonderful. We all dream in this silent and clean air mobility, of course. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good.